I rank where the view is nothing less than phenomenal for how I express and project from my abdominal. The only view better, both my daddy and my mama know. No living parents, my sons give me balance. My wife is my serenity, this mic is my identity. The world is foul enough, that's why I write without obscenities. Provoking danger with broken language and spoken anguish. Begging to get hurt, why would you ask to go through changes? Yes, Lord, life's a chessboard, master the angles. Control the tempo, be the one who holds the info. Acknowledge is just as deadly as machete swings. When spoken, the truth is as potent as that Medellin. While others swear the style is free, I just let it ring. Our time is undervalued, soldiers make us better kings. My fans on my shoulder, reaching after better things. Today I take the shot, for them I'd rather set the screen.
My mama told me follow my dreams. My daddy told me get it by any means. Stand tall, make him bow to a king. But I've evolved, you can see the resolve. Look in my eyes when you speaking to God.
Life and for those who we caught up in using what I was called with the muse. I guess they call it proving I'm more than an artist. Penciling out my darkest while stenciling out a harvest. And storing what gets me from A to B, just like garages. Instrumental with collages. Envision what I've been drawing. Broadway to give you rhythm like the great Lena Horne. So bent on, found comfort in the storm. Find peace and on when you see them others perform. Organized chaos, outcast it like hey ya.
Yo, party people in the place to be. What's good? It's your number one Chief Rock and Knicks Universe. Uncle Freezy is in the building. King Ribby is in the building first. Salute to my guy. Salute to my guy, King Ribby, in the place to be. Salute to everybody watching us on YouTube and on X and on Twitch. Salute to everybody coming through, rocking with us. This morning's show is going to be a little bit different than the normal shows. Let me get my camera angle right, everybody. Seem like I'm just looking off somewhere else. Okay, that's not better. Let me see. Okay, that's not better either, but okay. All right. So salute everybody. Today's show is going to be a little bit different. Going to talk about draft prospects, do deep dives into draft prospects that are maybe a little bit off the radar, but can be those guys that can come in at the back of your roster and improve your roster. Salute to Cowboy Bob. Cowboy Bob is in a place to be. I reached out to Cowboy Bob so that he can help me talk about Harrison Ingram, but circumstances prevented that. So salute to Cowboy Bob. So I hope when I talk about Harrison Ingram, I'll do him some service. Hopefully it won't be a disservice. Salute, everybody. So I have a few prospects I want to talk about because the word on the street is that this draft is a bad draft. And what I want to state to everyone that this draft is a very good draft, just doesn't have any headliners. This draft is the type of draft that if your front office is any good, they'll legit kill it in this draft. If your front office is traditionally bad, hit or miss, mid, average, your front office is going to mess this draft up. This is the type of draft where teams like the Denver Nuggets absolutely eat in a draft like this. This type of draft is a draft where the New Orleans Pelicans will absolutely eat in this draft. But if you're the LA Lakers are going to eat in this draft. Right? The Lakers, if the Lakers get multiple picks in this draft, they're going to kill it. I'm not even going to hold you. The Lakers in a draft like this is a draft where you find your Austin Reeves. This is a draft where you find your Taylor Horton Tuckers. This is a draft where you find your Kyle Kuzmas. Right? The Miami Heat, I fear, are going to rebuild their entire roster in this draft. This is the type of draft where if you have a talented front office, they'll absolutely thrive in this environment. Right? They'll thrive in this environment. But if you have a front office like, and I hate to do it to them because these are my people, but if you have a front office maybe like Atlanta that always searches for home run hitters, this might not be your draft. If your front office is a home run hitting draft, like we only draft for home runs, then this might not be your draft. And I don't say that disparagingly about Atlanta. It's just they know who they are. They draft for home run hitters. Seems like they draft for home run hitters. If you're a San Antonio, this is not your draft. San Antonio only drafts they draft home runs. Wiz is in the building. Wiz says, did you say Kuzma and Austin Reeves? I would trade Bojan, Jacob, and our 12 through 15 with picks for them yesterday. Wiz, hey, and you know what, Wiz? You were absolutely right about the Kyle Kuzma trade deadline. And I wanted to, I wanted to talk to you about that to give you some credit for being right. It's just like the timing's not right. It's like we always wind up talking about something else. And I made an effort to try to get to it a couple times, but the timing's not right. So maybe later on in the summer. So I want to say this about the Knicks. Under Leon Rose, I really don't know what type of drafter Leon Rose is. Because since he's been here, he's drafted Obi Toppin, Emmanuel Quickly, Quentin Grimes, Deuce McBride, Rokas Jokabitis, Jericho Sims, Trevor Keels. So I don't know what type of front office we have, right? And out of respect to the Knicks front office, I'm not saying that it's bad or that it's good. I'm not saying that it's good or bad. I understand the situation was difficult to step into. And JJ says, next year's draft is supposed to be lit. Right. But yeah, it's supposed to, next year's draft is going to be top heavy. But this year's draft is the draft for those that like to shop. You know, there are some people that like to buy, and then there are some people that like to shop. Right? They will shop, and they'll look and try to find the best deal for them, even if it takes all day. They may come home with one or two things. This is that draft. But if you're that personality that knows what you want right away and only goes to the shopping mall to get your one thing and come home, this may not be your draft. DSJ says, we have a front office that should just relinquish their picks based on every name. Well, I mean, this draft, though, this draft is one where if you like to look around and probe and search and discover, if you like the discovery aspect, yo, we surveyed 100 people is in the building. Salute. Miguel P is in the building. Salute, sir. This draft is one of those where there is a ton, probably pick number 8 through 60, and a few undrafted players could come into your program and develop, and given a role, they could become something. They could become something. And I have a few names. I'm going to put on the screen, and I want you to be mindful of these names as we go forward. I want you to be mindful of these names as we go forward. Not because they're going to be breakout stars from day one, because they won't. I don't anticipate them being breakout stars from day one. Right? I don't anticipate that. But what I do anticipate is that these guys are going to make a impact on the NBA. And if they go to the right situation, they may be names that, you know, if they go to the right situation, these may be. Okay, I'm trying to get these. Okay, let me see here. I'm trying to show you the name, and then at the same time, okay. So I guess they're telling me I have to type it. Let me see. Where is the name? I'm going to put it on the screen for everybody because I want you to see these guys. Okay, where's my guy? Where is he? Where is he? Where is he? Did he get drafted? Bear with me, everybody, please, if you don't mind. I have to type it, everybody. I'm sorry. I don't know why this happened. All right. So the name I'm looking to add is a Cameroonian center named Ulrich Kamchi. Ulrich Kamchi is the way that it looks. He's a center. He's about 6'11". He's about 6'11", about 230 pounds. But my belief is that he's going to be a baller. And I'm going to add another guy here too. And it's going to shock. These names are going to shock you when I mention them because you're going to say, who is that guy? Yeah. Okay, why is his name disappearing? I should have had this prepared better. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Okay. Yeah, bear with me for just a second. I'm not for sure what's happening. I'm having a tech issue here, and I shouldn't. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to make all of these the same size. There we go. All right. And I'm going to add these two to the screen. It seems like I did a lot of work for a little bit of stuff, right? Sherwin is in the building. Salute. The son of the legend. The Kerry Cox is in the building. Big L is in the building. Salute, salute. Sherwin says Ryan Dunn is Grimes with less offense. Yeah, and more athleticism. More athleticism. Younger. And better defense. And bigger. And more grit. All right. Here we are, everybody. I'm going to add them to the screen just so that we can talk about one at a time. I just have a lot of tabs open. I'm sorry. My apologies. DSJ says Ryan Dunn is a 6'7", 6'8", Isaac Okoro. Okay. Bro, Isaac Okoro is about to get $20 million a year from Cleveland. And they took him with the 4 pick. And if you can get a $20 million player with the 4 pick, why not take him in a supposed bad draft at 25? And Isaac Okoro is a borderline starter. If you can get a borderline starter with the number 25 pick, would you? Just saying. Now, mind you, I don't see any of that stuff y'all seeing. I don't see Quentin Grimes. I don't see Isaac Okoro. And I actually sat down and watched this dude's games. Nobody told me about Ryan Dunn. I actually found him myself. I live in South Carolina, so I get to see Virginia games and ACC games, SEC, ACC basketball games all the time. Get to watch these guys live. Sometimes I get to watch them in person. Most times I get to watch their games live on TV. The Isaac Okoro thing, I think, is maybe off. The Quentin Grimes thing is definitely wrong. Definitely. That I definitely didn't see that. But what I will tell you though is if that's what you saw, that's what you saw. Right? You know, I won't argue with you on it. If that's what you saw, that's what you saw. It's definitely not what I saw. It's not even close to what I saw from Ryan Dunn. So I want to put some information up. I'm gonna put some information up on Pame Daier. Daier. And so I heard his name, didn't know who he was. Instead of just bashing him, just doing groupthink, just being instead of just doing groupthink, right? I was telling myself maybe I should research some of these guys instead of just doing groupthink, right? Instead of parakeeting what somebody else said. Somebody said something, you know, somebody said something, and I'm just going to trust what they said. I'm just going to parrot. So I decided not to do that. This morning, I decided to research Kamchi Daier Justin Edwards. I already knew about Baba Miller, right? Baba Miller is the reason, was the motivation behind doing this show, actually. I already knew who Baba Miller was. But what I'm going to do is take someone's unbiased opinion and compare. Well, I did that already. Actually, I looked at about 5 sites and then looked at a couple of things and then I put them on my radar. Right? I put them on my radar. Right? So first of all, I don't trust Tankathon. Right? I only use Tankathon as the list for names and logistic data, like where they're from. I don't even trust the heights and weights on Tankathon. Right? But I use it as a logistic place, like a jump off place. And so Gary Cox says, I haven't watched any college games this year. Yeah, hey, the Ryan Dunn tape is impressive, bro. He is not when people say names, like when people throw certain names out, bro, don't listen, bro. Don't listen, because what people do is take position and height and assume that everybody that plays the same position and is the same height are the same player. And listen, Ryan Dunn can be, and I'm talking about sleepers. Ryan Dunn's not a sleeper anymore, right? Because people are saying is he's getting buzz, right? But nothing can be further from the truth of any comparison you heard. The only comparison that's accurate about Ryan Dunn is the smaller version of OG Anunoby. Now, if you've heard that, that's accurate. Everything else you heard, like I heard Tayshaun Prince. No, he's not. No, he's not a smaller Tayshaun Prince. No, he's not that. I heard he is a taller Tony Allen. No, he's not that either. The only name that accurately fits in this case, where you talk about athleticism and size with some strength needs to be added, but athleticism, size, OG Anunoby. Think about OG Anunoby if you left him in the dryer too long. That's what he's looking like. JJ says Matisse Thybulle. Some Matisse Thybulle. Yeah, prime defensive Matisse Thybulle. But this dude is more like, if we're talking in terms of cornerbacks, right? In terms of cornerbacks, right? Matisse Thybulle would be a Rod Woodson type corner, right? And Ryan Dunn would be a Darrelle Revis type corner. Like where Rod Woodson can match you with speed and strength, Darrelle Revis can match you with move for move, quick twitch, like a shadow. Like Ryan Dunn legit is more like a shadow, right? Like you just can't, like you won't be able to shake him. And when and if you do shake him, if you do rub him off with like a screen or something, his recovery quickness is phenomenal. Right? The dude is his screen navigation. This is why I think this is why Tom Thibodeau is going to draft Ryan Dunn. His screen navigation is phenomenal. Right? No lie, when he steps on the floor, when Ryan Dunn steps on the floor, his defense is already better than Deuce, Dante, and Josh Hart. Right now, I have not seen that man play one NBA minute, but I'm confident his defense is better than Dante, Deuce McBride, and Josh Hart right now. Now, the other parts of his game, need to be worked on. The other parts of his game need to be worked on. It's the reason why he'll probably get picked in the 20s, maybe even in the 30s. The other parts of his game, he's not really assertive offensively. He needs to tighten up his handle, which all college players need to do. Right? All college players need to do that. But yeah, this if you're talking about a rookie that can play right away with one definitive skill, Ryan Dunn is that guy. But enough about Ryan Dunn. What I want to talk about today is a guy, and I know I'm pronouncing his name wrong. Right? I know I'm pronouncing his name wrong, but his name is Pame Daier. I think that's his name. I'm an American that lived down south for like 20 years. And so when I say his name wrong, y'all forgive me on that. Pame Daier. I'm gonna just say it that Pame Daier is the way I'm gonna say it. Pame Daier, that's his name. This is his name, everybody. I'm gonna put it. I think did I spell his name wrong? I think I spelled his name wrong. No, I spelled it right. Pame Daier. Right. I'm gonna go to. There's a play that I want y'all to see. It's crazy. No, I won't show you. I won't show that one. But his name is Pocket. Oh, I spelled it wrong. I put PS. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, geez, Uncle. So that's the name. And I want to read, I want to show you a I'm on a website that's called No Ceilings. I'm on the No Ceilings website. And I'm gonna just want to put this on the screen for everybody so that we can see what it is I'm babbling on and on about. So here, this is what's said, right? There is something about a player who locks himself in a gym when they don't have to that will always attract the attention and respect of talent evaluators. One other thing that stood out was when Daier was asked about his height. He said, I know I'm 6'9" right now, but I don't know my wingspan. Right? And this is what the guy on No Ceiling says about Pame Daier, right? Pame Daier had a strong season coming out of our ratio farm, ULM. With his 6'9" frame, Pame proved to be positionally versatile. That versatility shows itself on both sides of the court. Synergy grades him out as very good, and Synergy and for the basketball heads, for those of y'all that like to talk basketball, if y'all don't have Synergy, stop what you're doing and get Synergy, right? If you don't have Synergy and you're talking basketball, you're not really talking basketball. You got to have Synergy. It's the reason why when cats come out and say certain things, like people in my position or people like that, when you hear them say stuff and it sounds wild OD, like, yo, where you get that from? From Synergy. From websites like Synergy is the reason why I could talk to you about names like Pame Daier, right? Because we researched these guys using websites like Synergy and others. We put a lot of time and money and websites like this so that we can get the breakdown of these guys. Pame Daier is one. If you talk basketball and you don't have Synergy, then you're just talking, right? Or if you listen to people who talk basketball and they don't have Synergy, they just talking, right? You got it. Synergy is that thing, man. You wanna have reference points. You want to have these players compared to you want to have a control, a base. You want to have a base. And Pame Daier, listen, I'm going to continue with the quote, right? Synergy grades him out as very good on all possessions, which includes assists on offense, with him averaging 1.191 points per possession. That put him in the 73rd percentile as an 18-year-old prospect. If that don't impress you, you can't be impressed. As a dude that legit won't be 19 until, I think he won't be 19 until December, I think he won't be 19 until December. But as a 6'9" wing player and you're in the 73rd percentile, that means something. That means something. I'm going to scroll down a little bit more, right? I'm just going to scroll down a little bit because I don't want to, read you to death. But here's the thing. Per Synergy, Daier is credited with 43 offensive rebounds and 59 games played. His offensive rebounding percentage of 6.17 would have ranked in the 151st in the NCAA this season. If you were to apply the Big G filter to all players with a minutes average percentage of at least 70%, he would have ranked 26th. He would have ranked 26th in the NCAA. Applying the minutes and criteria to Wing F filter, he would have ranked 43rd. And among freshmen with the same minutes criteria, Pame would have ranked 3rd. That is for all 18-year-olds playing professional basketball. And Sherwin says, Daier, I was just watching his highlights. I don't follow foreign players. Okay. And Cowboy Bob says, stay talking about guys we can't get due to reach or moving the goalposts. We don't need a Rumi or Ronnie. Are you talking about Bronny? And he will waste his skills. Okay. Yeah, man. So basically what I'm getting at is I understand, like, the word on the street is that this is a weak draft, right? This is a weak draft. and that this draft may not worth being in it. And what I'm saying to you is the teams that build, the teams that build, the teams that always seem to have that guy that comes from out of nowhere. You're like, who is this kid's Salma Aldana? Who is this? Saldi Andana? Who is that? Who is that dude that's knocking down those 3-pointers from Memphis? That's the dude we drafted after Quentin Grimes. Legit, I was watching, somebody, I think we were doing a watch along, and people were like, yo, who is Saldi Aldana? Who's that 6'9" power forward that keeps stroking threes? He all over everybody. Yeah, that's the dude that Memphis took after we drafted Quentin Grimes. Who is this dude, Herb Jones? I'm not drafting a 23-year-old rookie. Right. And now we would trade for a 26-year-old Herb Jones in a heartbeat. I'm suggesting that we be more receptive to people that we don't know, because just because you don't know them doesn't mean they're not good. Just because they're unfamiliar doesn't mean they're not good. A lot of these players are really good, have a lot of potential, and we should probably consider bringing them into our developmental system, right? Like, if you ask me, who would I rather develop, Charlie Brown Jr. or Pame Daier? I'm going to ask the son of the legend, Kerry Cox, who would you rather develop? Would you rather develop Charlie Brown Jr. or Pame Daier? Sherwin says he's young, turns 19 on August 10th. He's lengthy, 6'9". Yeah, he plays with a high motor. He has high upside due to his yeah. Sherwin, I'm telling you, bro, this dude, I'm not for sure what he is. Let me do this. Now, mind you, at 18, it's hard for me to project what an 18-year-old is going to be when they turn 23, right? Case in point, when the Bucks drafted a 6'9", 197-pound Giannis Antetokounmpo, Giannis looked like a slashing shooting guard that needed to develop his handles and his shot, right? Giannis looked like a 6'9" shooting guard that needed to develop his handles and his shot. But all the other stuff was there. The athleticism, the explosiveness, all of that was out of this world. He just needed to develop his handles and his shot, right? Fast forward 10 years later, he may be the greatest power forward to ever play basketball, right? Fast forward 10 years later, Giannis at 6'11", 242, may be the greatest power forward to ever play basketball. Maybe. So when you see him at 18, raw, and then you see him 10 years later, you never know what you're going to get. So when I say Pame Daier's name, I'm not saying that he's going to be Carmelo Anthony. I'm not saying he's going to be Carmelo Anthony. What I'm saying is he's young. He has all the stuff that you look for in a young kid, right? Like, he legit, excellent work ethic by himself. Like Pame Daier alone by himself is a workaholic, right? That's the vibe that I get, that he's a workaholic, right? That you don't need to motivate him in order for him to work on his game, right? And then the thing on the court, he may not always know what he's doing, but whatever he's doing, he's giving you max effort. The two things you don't want to have to motivate guys to do, he does it naturally. seems to enjoy it, right? Like high motor on the floor, excellent work ethic away from the team, constantly working on his game. Sherwin says no, he was compared to Magic before he came to. I don't remember that, bro. If that was the case, then I didn't see it, but I don't remember that. I remember on draft night, because I hadn't even heard of him before draft night, to be honest. On draft night, they were showing some grainy video of him playing, like somebody took off their cell phone. Like somebody had a cell phone video of Giannis. It wasn't even like real NBA quality tape. So if they did compare him to Magic, then I didn't see it. But if they did, then great. That's super. But I don't remember seeing that. And if Sherwin is right, right? So I want to give Sherwin credit. If he right, he right. Right? But I just don't remember it. But the Daier kid, if you're the Knicks, think about this. If you're picking at 24 and 25, and you're the Knicks, if you're I'm playing out a scenario because I know the Knicks probably want to run it back. The Knicks probably want to run it back, right? The Knicks probably want to. DSJ says, but the moment you said French player, I panicked. Not FIBA Frank, Sacre Bleu. You mean Victor Wembanyama? Victor Wembanyama's French. Bilal Coulibaly? That's going to be a name. Remember this name, Bilal Coulibaly. Bilal Coulibaly. Remember this name in the NBA. He's going to make us pay. Bilal Coulibaly. He's French. He actually played with Victor Wembanyama. Kerry Cox says, I want to bring our Euro stash pick here. Time to take a long, hard look at. Yep. Hey, no doubt. Rokas Jokovitis, I like him. But the thing is, the point that I'm getting at is for the Frank point, y'all listen. So I know DSJ is trolling, right? But for the Frank point, that was a very deep draft in which the Knicks got cute, and it came back to bite them. They could have just took Malik Monk. They could have just took Dennis Smith Jr. But they took Frank. And so there's that part of it. I think they could have took Kyle Kuzma in that draft, I think Josh Hart might have been in that draft. I can't remember. No, Josh Hart is a 10-year. Josh Hart came out the year before that, I think. Something like that. But if you're the Knicks, your starting five is set. Hartenstein, Randall, OG, Dante, Brunson. Your bench is set. Deuce, Burks, Bogey, and Mitch. Your 9-man rotation is set. Say you bring back Precious and you bring back Jericho Sims. Your situational guys are set, right? So you have 11 guys. Now, who do you put in spots 12 through 15. 12, 13, 14, 15. Who do you put in those spots? What I'm suggesting to the Knicks fans is 2 development guys who you won't see at all, and 2 stone cold hardcore veterans. Shit, I might bring in Russell Westbrook. I'm talking about 2 stone cold hardcore. Man, I might bring in Westbrook and PJ Tucker at the end of the bench. Just for an example. I mean, they might not be the perfect fit for this scenario, but just to give you an idea. Just to give you an idea of what I'd be looking at. If you're and if you ask me for real, in those last 4 spots, what I would do, hey man, in those last 4 spots, one of them has to be Chris Paul, the other one has to be Ryan Dunn, and with those other 2 spots, I'm looking at Pame Daier, and I'm looking at either Ulrich Kamchi or Baba Miller. And Kerry Cox says, yeah, you like Zach Edey? Yeah, I like Zach Edey. I only like Zach Edey in a sense where he's going to be the backup. So if you bring back Mitch and Hartenstein, then I'm going to pass on Edey because I think he's a play now player. He's not a development player. I think you already know what you're going to get out of Zach Edey, right? I don't want Zach Edey to be the 3rd center. I don't think he's a development guy. Wiz says, I am giving Miles Bridges 10 per 3 years with a team option on year. He ain't take. Wiz, come on, bro. Maybe I'm wrong. Wiz is right a lot, right? Wiz is right a lot. I'll give him his credit. But he doesn't preface what he says. So when he says it, I'm like, come on, dog. I'm like, come on, Wiz. What you that man says he gonna give Miles Bridges 3 years, $30 million. That man ain't saying. He might take that 1 year to rehab his value, but that man's a starter, borderline all-star when he plays. You think you're gonna lock him up in his prime years for $10 million a year? When Isaac Okoro is easily gonna get 20? Nah. He ain't doing that. He ain't doing that. Yeah, I can't see it. Now again, Wiz is right a lot of times, right? So Wiz may be right, but I just don't see it. I just need somebody to break that down for me. So I said a name.
Salute, boss.
What's good, bro?
Not much. I mean, listen to this. All I want in a couple of weeks is the Knicks to do 2 things. 1, do a majority run back, but getting rid of the pieces that have been left to rust. 2, not trade away the draft picks and get a piece we can cultivate that fits the Thibodeau system. And 3, find veteran bench pieces that can fit the 12 through 15 spots just for the sake of filling in those slots that will not be overkill, self-indulgent, and bonehead dimwits like a Russell Westbrook. I don't want that kind of toxic attitude from a vet on the team. Know what I mean?
No. Explain it to me. Explain to me why.
When you look at how Russ has regressed since leaving OKC, whether it was in Houston, whether it was in Los Angeles, or Portland, or wherever, Washington, or wherever he's at now, what has been the main factor that's basically turned fans off from him? Bad attitude. And if that bleeds into New York, it's going to do the team more harm than good if he shows up. At least in my view.
Okay.
And that's not a mindset we need since we're trying to build a winning culture here.
Okay. Right. Got you. Roger that. I feel like okay. I understand where you're coming from. I don't agree, but I understand. Right. The thing is, with Russell Westbrook, I don't know if I'm bringing in Westbrook either, and it's not because of his attitude. I think his skills have diminished too much. Right. I don't know if he's an adequate replacement for Deuce McBride if you bring him in. I think Deuce may be better than him at times. Right. And so I don't want to bring in first or second ballot Hall of Famer, depending on how you look at what Russell Westbrook. But he is a Hall of Famer, right? But do you bring in a aging Hall of Fame candidate to be the third point guard who is notoriously wanting to be a starter? I don't think you do. And at the same time that I say that about Westbrook, I want to bring in Chris Paul, who is in that same category of a first or second ballot Hall of Famer. But Chris Paul, wherever he goes, takes at least one young player and develops them into a star. Right? So if you do that, if you bring in a Chris Paul and pair him with the young guys that you've drafted, now you can bet at least one of those guys, at least one of them, is going to turn into a star. That's his track record. That's what he does, right? He did it, and Jonathan Kuminga looked like a guy that was teetering on not developing, and Chris Paul shows up, and all of a sudden, Jonathan Kuminga looks like he's going to be an all-star for the next few seasons, right?
Yeah.
Chris Paul goes to Phoenix. All of a sudden, Mikal Bridges and Devin Booker look like they're upper echelon players. And for those that remember Chris Paul's early days, he took a lottery bust in Tyson Chandler and turned him into the T1000. He also did the same thing
in New Orleans, right?
Yeah, in New Orleans, that's when he did it. And he also did the same thing in Oklahoma City with a young Canadian point guard named SGA. He also did it and with the Clippers with a young injury-prone forward named Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan. And if you take that formula, if you bring them here, you don't know which young player it's going to be, but you know it's going to be a young player, right? Would you buy into Chris Paul on the league minimum, coming and spending time with one or two of the guys that you drafted? Say it's Dadier and Ryan Dunn. Would you say the league minimum is worth Chris Paul taking Dadier and Ryan Dunn and turning them into high-level starters, borderline all-stars over the next 2 seasons?
I'd say yes, but the question is when you consider if that happens, it's the first time Thibodeau and CP3 have worked together. How well do those mindsets mesh is the question.
It's worked everywhere with Chris Paul, right? Chris Paul, I honestly, the mere fact that Chris Paul made it work with Doc Rivers, to me, would be more impressive than him working with Tom Thibodeau, because I honestly feel like Tom Thibodeau is more flexible in his approach than Doc Rivers, and not saying he's very, because he's not,
Yeah,
but he's probably more flexible than
right.
Doc Rivers is.
We all know, we know that Tibbs is rather rigid, but Doc, he's an idiot. I mean, considering how you have no clue what the Bucks were. Milwaukee made the biggest mistake bringing him in, and it's probably going to crater them next season, for better or worse.
Yeah, Milwaukee is desperate. I don't think it's just Doc. Mind you, this Doc is their third coach in a calendar year.
Yeah, it was Budenholzer, then it was
Adrian Griffin,
and now Doc.
And Doc, yeah.
And even if Doc does last a full season next year, he's going to be gone anyway.
Right. But to the Chris Paul point though, at the back of the roster, right? Do you bring in a Chris Paul to because the thing is, the reason why you bring in a Chris Paul is not because, mind you, you're not bringing in Chris Paul to turn back the clock, right? You're not bringing Chris Paul in for Lob City. You're bringing Chris Paul in for his brain. That's why you're bringing Chris Paul in. You're not bringing Chris Paul in so that he can compete with Deuce McBride. You're bringing Chris Paul in so that you can have another primary playmaker added to your primary playmaking group, and you're having Chris Paul mentor one or two young players to make the NBA easier for that young player. And he's done it. He's done it everywhere. He even helped the resurgence of Ben McLemore in Houston.
Mm-hmm.
When he was in Houston, Ben McLemore resurged. Ben McLemore was a bust in Sacramento. Made a comeback in the league, and all of a sudden, Chris Paul had him looking like he could be a starter.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Chris Paul left, you never saw Ben McLemore again.
Yep. Far as that's true. I mean, I wouldn't mind bringing CP3 in on that minimum budget. He's past the point where he can go that long. I mean, we got him in 05, things would have been different, but regardless, can't look at the past anymore. The point is, it would be a good pickup for the minimum return, for minimum payment on his contract. But how long do we keep him? 2 years at the most?
At the most. At the most.
All right.
Yeah, because in 2 years, you won't need him. Because think about what I'm saying. If Chris Paul comes here for 2 years, for say a year and a half, say we keep him for a year and a half, in year 2 we trade him at the trade deadline, right? Say we move him at the trade deadline for whatever, right? But in that year and a half or 2 years, if you keep him, right, you're actually getting 3 quality NBA players as opposed to 1 with Chris Paul, right? The rookies you bring in will be impacted by the presence of Chris Paul, and he's done it everywhere that he's gone. I challenge somebody to find a spot where Chris Paul legit didn't have a positive impact on young players on the roster. He even rejuvenated Dennis Schroeder.
But it basically builds up to the point that between Russell and CP3 healthy, Russell toxic to a team dynamic. When it comes to developing the young guys.
Yeah, I don't care about Russell Westbrook. I only used him for an example.
I know, but I'm just saying. But
I don't care about Russell Westbrook, bro. I don't even want, as far as the conversation go. I don't care nothing. My point was, you can bring, like, what do you do with the last 4 roster spots? Do you add 2 veterans and 2 rookies? Do you add 4 veterans like we did last year with Charlie Brown, Dwayne Washington, Jacob Toppin, Daquan Jeffries? Yeah, or do you split that up? Do you bring in 2 high quality veterans and 2 rookies, 2 very young players, or do you bring in 4 rookies? I say go down the middle.
So
bring
basically,
2 vets and 2 rookies. Yeah.
But the way we've been discussing this, it's get 3 rookies in the draft and bring in a vet.
In terms of balance is what I'm looking for. Right. Last year, players 12 through 15, Charlie Brown Jr., Dwayne Washington Jr., Daquan Jeffries, Jacob Toppin. What did they add? Did they have a value add on the court?
No.
Right. I don't think so either. Now, did they have a value add in practice? Probably. They had value adds in practice, probably. But
value adds in the G League, but once they got here, they were left on the bench to rust.
Yeah, and they were probably pretty good practice players, right? I think you need to have good practice players too. But if you add a Chris Paul, a PJ Tucker type, I think you've exceeded what you want from practice players. Because both of those dudes are quality NBA players.
Who Tucker play for before his contract ran out?
Who?
Who's Tucker play for before his contract runs out?
The Clippers.
No.
The Clippers. He'll probably pick up his team option because I don't think a team will offer him that money. So he'll probably pick up his player option. But the point that I'm getting at is a player like PJ Tucker, like if not PJ Tucker, then James Johnson. Everything Knicks is in the building. Jay Boogie in the building. Salute Jay Boogie. Yeah. So when it comes to the Knicks and who they pick, the Kamchi kid, Ulrich Kamchi, he's a 6'11", 230-pound center, and he's 6'11" without shoes. So the word is he's 6'11" without shoes. So he's legit just about a 7-footer with shoes on. Right? He's a 7-footer with shoes on, right? The thing about him is his mobility, right? His quickness around the paint. He's raw, right? He's raw. He's probably more raw than Mitchell Robinson was when we drafted Mitch. But the upside for him, is phenomenal. The upside is at 18. I think this is the kid that won't be 19 until December. I'll put his name in the chat. I hope I spelled his name right. Because I was unfamiliar with him until a couple of days ago. But this dude's lane agility is phenomenal. The 3/4 court sprint is phenomenal, right? He's got like a 35-inch standing vertical, which doesn't sound like it's great, but when you're 7 foot tall and you can stand there and jump 35 inches off the floor, that's impressive. That's impressive. Now, if you want to bring him in as your 15th man, shuttle him back and forth to the G League, right? Maybe he'll get minutes once if Mitch gets hurt, right? Maybe he'll get minutes behind Precious and Jericho Sims and whoever. Maybe he'll get minutes, maybe he won't in year one. But year one is not the reason why you want him. Year 3 is the reason why you want him. These next 2 years, you want a rotation of Brunson, Dante, OG, Randall, Hartenstein, Deuce, Burks, maybe, Bogey, maybe, Josh Hart, Mitchell Robinson, Jericho Sims, Precious Achua, maybe. That's the you want to run it back, but at the end of your bench, you want to add young pieces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're going to, as time goes on, those older pieces start grinding down, and you need youth. I mean,
Right.
it was a mistake in many ways when you think about the Knicks at the tail end of the 90s going into the new millennium that bit them in the ass, choosing not to adapt to the times and get younger pieces.
Right. Right. Right.
But then again, I blame most of that on Isaiah Thomas choosing past their prime hat pieces with name recognition instead of building up a competent youthful core.
And everything Nick says, what about Bronny, the Bronny move? That brings LeBron for the mid-level.
No,
Yeah, I'm not wasting a first round pick on Bronny. I just can't see the Knicks doing that. Even though Bronny has an uphill battle, right? He's 6'1.5" without shoes. And while his basketball IQ is through the roof, what about his physical ability, his physical limitations as a 6'1.5" shooting guard?
6'3" with the shoes on.
Yeah, 6'3", which yeah. I'd say I'd pass even if LeBron would be hell bent to get here if we drafted Bronny, right?
Nice.
But yeah, I just don't see. And where does LeBron play? Do you sit or do you bring OG Anunoby off the bench because you signed LeBron?
That's
And
that's
if you
stupid.
sign LeBron, if you get Bronny and LeBron is on the way, what message does that send to OG Anunoby? Does OG Anunoby sign back with the Knicks knowing LeBron is coming?
No,
Probably not.
it just basically shows that the team front office is nepotistic and once again are regressing back to getting names into players with brand and name recognition, but decaying skills.
Right. Now the thing is with LeBron in your organization and on the floor, the basketball IQ of your entire roster is going to increase. Right? But then at the same time, LeBron James type teams generally lack accountability. Like you can't tell LeBron he was wrong. Like that defensive rotation in the corner and LeBron James is the closest man. LeBron James ain't taking no, you can't criticize LeBron for not getting out on a rotation that he saw coming.
Which is one of the main reasons I don't want the guy.
Yeah.
If this was like 10 or 15 years ago, then yeah, maybe. But now, no way. LeBron has degraded himself into an overkill man-child with his attitude both on and off the court. And we don't need that.
Right. What attitude off the court that you're talking about, though?
Mostly his overkill political activism that's getting on my nerves.
That's people's right. People have their own. People have their right to be in politics, bro. That's people's opinion, right? I mean, I personally, whatever your political view is, I don't care. Because I respect people's right to whatever political view they stand for, right? But off the court, I disagree with you with the off the court thing, but not in that sense. The off the court stuff is I don't want LeBron coming here trying to be the GM and team president of the team, forcing the front office to make basketball moves in his favor. That's the part that I thought you were getting at. Like when LeBron comes to your organization, he's in your front office. And we already have a good front office.
Well, I was also kind of coupling into that too. Where you know how they say every end of business is basically throwing your political weight around.
Okay.
I just didn't clarify it. Sorry.
No doubt. I just needed some clarification on that. So, but the LeBron thing is when LeBron comes here, he's going to try to be your GM. It's the reason why he's not in Miami. Miami is the perfect fit or should have been the perfect fit for LeBron James for the rest of his career. But LeBron James
got greedy.
Yeah, he wants to make coaching decisions. He didn't like Spoelstra at first, right? He didn't like the roster at first. He didn't like And the thing about it is how does LeBron James not like the roster? And it's a roster that he handpicked, and he still didn't like it.
He was constantly butting heads with Pat Riley, wasn't he?
Right. Yeah. That's the reason why he left and went back to Cleveland, an organization that he could take over.
And although it got him a ring, it led to a trade-off of him getting his tail handed to him in 3 of 4 finals by a young core of Thompson, Curry, later Durant, Drummond, Iggy, and so forth.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And then he goes to LA and then throws his way around.
Right.
And gets
And
a
for
bubble
that
title.
reason, right. And for that reason, I don't know if the Knicks fit is a fit. Plus, there is the Civil War, which is clutch, which is invested in by LeBron, versus CAA, which is its own entity.
That's the contract union, right?
Yeah. The agencies, yeah. So there's that element to it also. So in terms of the Bronny thing, what I would say is I think the Knicks will pass on it, not because Bronny is a bad player or LeBron James is a bad player. It's just the things that go along with
more the case of the sins of the father getting thrown on the son, in a sense.
Yeah. So there's that part of it. But if we're talking about the sleeper picks, I think the Knicks would probably be wise to draft some rookies, add them to the back end of the roster, keep them locked in for a significant amount of time so that they can develop and not really focus on their development. Won't be a priority. Their development would be a priority, but winning an NBA championship would be a priority. Right? Look at the Denver Nuggets with Christian Brown and Peyton Silva. Right? Where two young guys come into a team in the midst of a championship run. They just have one or two roles to play. Play defense as hard as you can and knock down open threes. That's your role. Peyton Silva is just play as hard as you can, hustle, just run, jump, disrupt, be disruptive. And then the more seasoned you get, the more of a role you'll get.
True.
And Knicks ran out of steam, says if New York goes on a 3-game losing streak with LeBron, the media will see it as a reason to throw Brunson and Hart under the bus. Bingo. Those type of narratives. Yeah.
It's basically LeBron playing the role of Odin in God of War Ragnarok. Never caring about the team or those around him, only about himself.
Right. You're right.
And he'll do and say anything to cover his own ass.
Right. Yeah. So with the sleeper picks, you definitely go out and get a guy, right? Go out and get 2 guys if you're the Knicks, even if they're only players 14 and 15 on your roster. Even if you want to be veteran laden, go out and get my advice to the Knicks is don't bring in one rookie by himself. I always find teams that develop a megastar, teams that develop superstars, teams that develop stars, teams that develop starters, teams that develop role players always have at least 2 rookies by themselves or 2 young players by themselves, i.e., Kobe Bryant.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody remember the rookie that was drafted with Kobe Bryant?
Allen Iverson?
Derek Fisher.
Oh.
Derek Fisher. The Lakers brought in Derek Fisher and Kobe Bryant at the same time.
Granted, the latter of which had to be done in a trade deal with the Hornets.
Right.
For Vlad of all players.
I'll give another example. Giannis Antetokounmpo, right? So the Bucks brought in Giannis, right? But at the same time, in that development culture, they also had Jabari Parker and Chris Middleton.
Mm-hmm.
They traded their point guard, swapped point guards, and got Chris Middleton.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have 3 young guys developing at the same time. Giannis, Jabari Parker, who had been going through injury rehab, but he was still a young player in that culture, and Chris Middleton out of Texas A&M. Yep. They got him from Detroit, off Detroit's bench.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Patrick Ewing. Anybody remember the rookie that got drafted with Patrick Ewing?
Elijah Wan? No, wait, no.
Gerald Wilkins.
Oh, right, Wilkins.
The shooting guard, Gerald Wilkins. Right. When you bring young guys in pairs, and what that does is it helps the rookies get through the inaugural season. Right. It helped them get through the early orientation of the NBA. You have a pair of rookies navigating together, and what you want to do is draft good people. You don't want to draft jerks. Like, draft good people, and then those 2 good people can navigate through. For instance, anybody remember the rookie Dallas drafted along with Luka Doncic?
No.
Jalen Brunson.
Oh.
Right. Draft good people. They drafted Luka, and they also brought in Jalen Brunson at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I'm suggesting to, and there are probably some options out there where a rookie was the only rookie megastar was the only guy. I look at that as maybe a one-off and not the formula that you should use. Right.
But the question is, given how far down the draft board the Knicks are this year, who's going to be that sleeper pick?
Don't know yet. I guess it depends on the negotiation between the Knicks and Isaiah Hartenstein. Because if Hartenstein is gone, it resets a lot of stuff. So instead of drafting a bunch of wing players, they may look to draft a rookie center that may be more game ready than Ulrich Kamchi is. Wacko in the building. Wacko says Mikal Bridges is overrated. Bingo. And Heck says Mitch Robinson had Knox and Trier. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, but out of those 3, Mitch has had the longest tenure. Knox has been garbage before going to Atlanta, and Trier vanished into obscurity.
Right. Yeah. So the point, the gist I'm getting at with it is being a rookie is hard. It's your first day at your first job ever, basically. Your first day at your first real job is going to be a peculiar transition, right? You're meeting new people. You're in a new place. You have a new job that you may not have experience with, and maybe there are outside forces like the public or the media or whatever, and you have to deal with all these factors at once, and it makes the transition a little bit difficult. But if you enter that new space with somebody that's in the same situation you are, right, it makes the transitions easier because you have somebody going through and growing through the same things that you're going through at the same time, and it makes the transition seems like it should make the transition more relatable. It may not make it easier, but at least you know somebody else is going through it at the same time you are. Rich Nation says, Knicks ran out of steam. Yes. And Wacko says, Randall for Bridges is worst trade. And yeah, that's crazy. I don't even know why that's even a question. Bridges for Randall. That's the most ridiculous thing. Bridges has accomplished nothing in the NBA by himself. Nothing by himself. And when he faced adversity, his team sucked. So when he was playing with a Hall of Fame point guard, he looked good. When he was playing with a Hall of Fame shooting guard, he looked good. On a team that doesn't have that stuff, he looks mid. Right? All right. So one more thing before I get out of here, everybody. I want to mention Baba Miller and Justin Edwards. Right? Just want to read. I want to read the where is it? There's a thing here. I'm just gonna put it on the screen so we could talk about Baba Miller for a second or two before we get out of here. Baba Miller. FYI, Bronny James is the 60th ranked prospect. If the Lakers take him at whatever, they're crazy. So Baba Miller is 6'11", 204 pounds. He's 20 years old. He went to Florida State. Baba Miller has, and I'm reading this off of Fanspo. Baba Miller is a high upside wing with silky smooth shot form, good defensive upside, right? Definitely needs to increase his efficiencies, right? Can shoot the 3 and D. What I'm saying is 6'10", 3 and D. Has a feel for the game, positional flexibility. People are saying in 2 years he'll be Kyle Kuzma. For those that like Kyle Kuzma, versatile defender who fights around screens like a guard, moves feet well, ambidextrous finisher around contact, especially around contact, active cutter who regularly looks for openings, can handle the ball in the open floor. So if you could get a really young Kyle Kuzma, would you? That I guess that is the question. Baba Miller is compared to Kyle Kuzma. I don't see that, but okay. I see him more as a Jonathan Isaac. All right, so Justin Edwards is a athletic defender, finisher. So he's a good defender, athletic, good finisher, good size, inconsistent handle. His player comp is DeJounte Murray, according to someone on Fanspo. Would you draft a 20-year-old DeJounte Murray?
Yes.
Okay.
If we can't get the real deal, we might as well get a substitute.
Right. Okay. With that said, everybody, I'm gonna get out of here. Got more work to do. Everything is good coming through. Hanging out with y'all, Mets. Thank you for coming through, bro.
You're welcome.
All right, everybody. Peace.